Good afternoon. It is 3 o'clock and we're going to open the meeting for the October 20th, 2025 Water Board. With that, let's call the meeting to order and do a roll call.
All right, Tom Dester.
Here.
Roger Lang is not with us today. Renee Davis.
Here.
Dan Wolford.
Here.
Scott Holwick.
Here.
Wes Lowry.
Here.
Kevin Bowden.
Here.
Alex Merklin.
Here.
Hope Bartlett.
Here.
Nicole Halpin. Is not here today. Chris Huffer is not here today. Lance Smith.
Here.
Brian McGill.
Here.
Heather McIntyre is here. And Councilmember Christ.
Here.
Chair, you have a quorum.
And I believe we have a member of the public joining us.
Yes. Give us your name, please.
Yes, Mark Van Nostrand.
Thank
Welcome,
you.
Mark. Okay, so in the packet was included a draft version of the September 15th, 2025 Water Board meeting minutes. Have you all had a chance to review them? And if so, are they ready to be approved or do we need to amend anything?
It's actually from the 22nd. I missed that on the packet.
I'm just reading what you
Yep.
said on
I
there.
missed that on the packet. It should
Take
be
a
from
motion
the
then.
September 22nd meeting.
Thank you.
Hearing no comments, I move for the approval.
Is there a second?
Second.
Tom, thank you. Any additional conversation? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? We have unanimous.
Abstaining.
I'm abstaining
Why
because I
so?
wasn't there.
Well, then we have 3 of us approving and 1 abstention. Thank you, Renee. Kevin, do you have a water status report this week?
Yes, I do. Flow on the St. Vrain this morning at 8 a.m. was 41 CFS. The 125-year average is 35 CFS for the state. Currently, the call on St. Vrain is the Swede ditch, and that's a priority date of May 1st, 1871. The call on the South Platte is the Pruitt Inlet Canal with a priority date of January 31st of 1936. Ralph Price Reservoir at Longmont Preserve is currently at elevation of 6398 with approximately 15,820 acre feet in storage, and that's about 98% full. Union Reservoir is at gauge height of 23.15, or approximately 9,413 acre feet, which is down approximately 3,300 acre feet, or approximately 74% full. Basin reservoirs at the end of September were at approximately 67% of full. Last year at this time, the reservoirs were about the same, about 67%, so about the same as last year.
Thank you, Kevin. Any questions for Kevin?
No.
I have just one, Kevin, and it's just not really water status. When does Union close for the season for the summer activity stuff that goes on there?
I thought I saw an email on that the other day.
It's usually before school starts.
Oh, is it that? Okay. It's just been such an extended warm period of fall. I thought I'd ask.
I thought there was an enclosure notice that came out in an email not too long ago.
Well, they don't really close per se, do they?
For
they
the
don't
swim,
staff it.
for
They
the
don't
swim
staff it.
beach and stuff like that
Yeah.
closes usually.
I think you can still go, well, I think you still go out there.
first, but I could be wrong.
Just curious. Thank you. Not pertinent, I suppose. But it took so long to open the shut. Maybe it stayed around a little longer. So. Great, thanks. Heather, do we have any public invited to be heard?
Mark, do you have anything you want to say to the board while you're here today, or?
No, I mean, I'm a retired water engineer, and the city of Longmont on your website is saying get involved with a board. So this is the board of closest interest to me.
Cool. Thanks for
Very cool.
joining us.
Thank you, Mark. Any special presentations that we're
Nope.
anticipating? Okay. How about any agenda revisions?
I have none.
Nothing? Submission of documents that we don't already have?
Just keep following the agenda.
All right.
We
Item
have
number
none.
7 in the first 3 minutes. That's great. Development activity. Wes, we have something. It's been months.
It's been a while.
Can't wait to hear about it.
All right.
Thanks.
So what you have in your packet is the West Grange filing for final plat. It's 13.58598 acre parcel. It's located generally east of Silver Creek High School. It's part of the lands that was annexed back in 2003. One of the last parcels to plat. They still have remaining deficits to satisfy. Those remaining deficits will be 23.729 acre feet. So what's being proposed on this is it's in a residential mixed neighborhood area. They're putting a lot of different things. I think there was proposed to put just over 200 multifamily units, 42 single family attached, 10 single family detached, and 27 condo townhomes. So a lot of different building for residents there. To go through the process, usually a parcel like this goes through a preliminary plat process. That's not something Water Board concerns itself with, but that happened about 2 years ago. So it just shows you there's been a lot of input in this up to this point. I haven't had conversations with them how they're going to plan to satisfy it. If they're going to use non-historical water rights or cash in lieu, but once they decide, then they'll let us know. Then I can answer any other questions you have about it. It's pretty standard plat where they're historic satisfied about half of their total 3 acre foot per acre, and so they just need to satisfy the remainder in order to get the plat signed.
Great, thanks, Wes. Questions for Wes? Comments?
Do you guys typically, I mean, in this situation, do you make a recommendation, or it's really up to them? Do you prefer cash in lieu over historic water, or
So
you just frankly, as long as it's satisfied?
yeah, we don't really provide any recommendation.
Okay.
It's completely up to them.
Other questions, Tom?
No. I was just noticing how much CBT water they had back in the day, I guess, so you
Yeah.
probably were happy to see that come in.
Yeah, it was probably one of the last times we received CBT on an
Yeah.
annexation. We're tending to get their statement of historical use affidavits, which have to be accompanied for any water right that comes to Longmont, and they're all attesting that they don't have any, and they probably don't.
So that was back in 2003,
Yeah.
and that was one of the last CBT batches we acquired
One of
through
them,
annexation.
yeah.
That's crazy.
It's been that long.
That had a low value in 2000, a relatively low value in 2003.
Relatively so.
Yeah. Okay. Renee, anything?
No, I'm good.
You need some action from us to move this along to City Council with a
Yeah, just
recommendation?
that they'll be in compliance with the satisfaction of the described deficit.
Great. Anybody willing to give a motion to that?
I give a motion to that effect.
Oh my goodness.
Okay, fine. I give a motion that we advise city council to accept that once they are in compliance, and their compliance looks like.
Thank you, Renee. A second?
Second.
Tom, thank you. Any additional conversation, discussion? If none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? You have a recommendation, Wes.
All right, thank you guys.
Gotcha. Okay, item 8, general business under sub A, 2025 legislative guiding water principles. Is it truly 2025 or is it 2026?
6.
It's 2026.
It's 2025
Didn't do a very
now,
good
but
job
26 is when the
reviewing
legislative
this.
session commences. So
Yeah.
we'll go with the 2026 version. But this is in our packet on an annual basis for review to ensure that what the city is doing with the legislature is something that we're hoping that they do. So if there's anything that you all reviewed, saw, thought differently, or figured that there ought to be a modification or an addition, this is a good time to do that. Do we have a lobbyist per se this year, Wes? Are
Well,
we sharing
everything we do goes through Sandy Cedar, our
Yeah.
assistant city attorney,
Okay.
or city manager. I'm sorry, and so these are just the principles that Water Board would look at, and the city representatives as far as water principles. They're the same as what you saw and used last year. I think they were well thought through. They have for some time. So really, staff doesn't think there's any need to strike any, if there would be anything additionally. And I think staff is preparing to bring to water board, at the start of the next legislative session, any water related bills. We plan to do it like we did last year, where there would be a link. So things change so quickly sometimes, and we want to be certain that you can get it right directly from the source in terms of where it's at and what's actually being said. So yeah, we're very comfortable with it, and this is your chance to let us know if we should change it at all.
Great, with that, we can open up the floor. Does anybody have any comments or questions or proposed modifications? Dan is good. Tom?
I'm always impressed with, I'm assured that these have kind of come to fruition over the years, like the list is the manifestation of years and years and years of thought, I suppose. So I always like reading through them, but I never have too much comment, to be honest. So.
It's a lot for any. I was asking about the lobbyists because there's so many principles here that for anybody to meaningfully keep track of those that isn't dedicated solely to water, it's like how many more things do they keep track of, right? It's a lot.
Which one does
thorough.
this bill violate?
Renee, do you have any comments, questions?
Not specifically. I have a concern about the upcoming legislative session and the last session's move to limit system development charge setting powers of special districts. I have a concern that it could evolve into the municipal request as well. I don't have any insight as to where it's going or what's happening this session, but it might be something to keep in mind for future water principles, to maybe put something in there about our financing and being kind of a local control of how the water system is financed and funded.
I think that'd be great. I mean, we haven't seen a lot of newsworthy articles about municipal abuse of.
We haven't.
But we have seen it certainly for Title 32 special water districts. So that was the genesis of those concerns last year.
Yeah, I know that was the genesis, and there was something that kicked it off. But
Yeah.
Sometimes I think I'd hate for it to have momentum.
Right.
So I don't know if we want to talk about adding a principal.
I'm not sure either. I mean, it's an interesting one because it comes up in the municipal context more than it does in a water-specific context. It's what kind of powers are being eroded that municipalities enjoy.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So it's
Could be broader.
It's broader than that. I would think municipals would be very galvanized by anything that suggests that they have
That's
less
fair.
autonomy than they have in other charters. But
Yeah.
I don't know. The legislature, sometimes you get weird things happening.
Well, and maybe
You
rather
think?
than a change to principles, I think we should just all keep our eyes on that particular potential legislative effort. Because if we see it, I know sometimes the timing of the board and getting
Yeah.
comments up the chain through the city and over is difficult. So it might be one of those things that we can just agree to keep an eye out as individuals.
I'm comfortable with that.
Can I offer?
Yep.
Please, yes.
So right now, legislatively, the city is talking about getting into with the Colorado Municipal League with other cities who are trying to say, look, you're overruling our home rule authority on more than one topic. We're up to about 3 topics now. But I think having a principal in this list might be helpful to the city council, because when these things come to us, it gives us something we can point to, and Sandy Cedar can bring to our attention, where we can say, okay, here's another instance where we need to push back right up front, because in alignment with what Renee's saying about the timing, it's helpful when it comes to us. And sometimes the legislative items are just what it was for that week on a Tuesday, so it's pretty immediate.
Yeah, pretty quick.
I think that's fair. I'm going to guess, and I'm not going to put you on the spot, but if we have some turnover in city council, maybe it's useful to have this in there as an educational piece as well for new city council members. Wes, do we have to do anything today, or can we ask you guys to consider that and bring it back in November? That's certainly timely for the legislative session.
So generally what we look for is to have the board accept these principles, and that these are the ones that we'd be using for the upcoming legislative. If you feel like what's here is you're not ready to do that, and we need to do that next month, that's probably okay. I think what the city staff would be defaulting to would be the ones that we used prior.
Right.
So if you choose not to take action on this, we would just schedule for the next meeting.
And if there was one that you wanted to draft, it could be something that one of you would maybe volunteer to draft and bring back to the next water board for you all to discuss and take action on.
Potentially amend or adjust.
Yeah.
I'm not even sure that what we're talking about really falls into one of the buckets here. I think it would be an additional new number 22 principle is my thinking, but I haven't thought hard about it because I hadn't considered it before today. So, well, perhaps we can have Heather prompt us a week out to think about that, or 2 weeks out, because I think if I say that I'll do it, I won't. At least not unintentionally, but we'll get there and I'll be like, oh shoot, I forgot that. But I'd like to maybe see this come back for the November meeting with that in mind, to see if there's a way we could craft something. I'm happy to look at it. I'll
Is
need
that
a
something
reminder.
that somebody would be able to, would want to take and draft before next meeting to bring back for
Yeah, we should have a
people
straw
discuss?
man, I would think. And
Yeah,
to keep it
otherwise-
moving.
Otherwise, we're in the same situation we are today.
Yeah, I was just thinking if there was a prompt that one of us could actually do it a couple weeks out, I won't think about it again until the November meeting otherwise. So
But are you volunteering to do that prompt?
I don't. No, I was gonna have Heather prompt us, but I didn't know if any of us want to take ownership. If you guys don't want to take ownership, I can take a shot at it, but I'll give me 2 weeks out, and then I'll send something around.
Okay.
So
That'd be excellent.
I think what we would do though is you would take a shot at it. We would include it in next month's
Yeah.
water board meeting.
I just want a reminder.
Yeah.
That's all I'm
That's
asking
fine.
for.
But rather than sending it around, it would be
Oh, sure,
something that would be
sure.
included in next month's packet for you all
Yeah.
to discuss
That'd
for
be
the
fine.
addition.
Yeah, I
Just
can-
so we're clear.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay.
But there's nothing in here that we want to remove.
I didn't
So,
see anything
No.
right, so does it make sense to move this list forward?
yet. What Wes said no. If we're gonna,
Anticipating that we will add, so that at least if something comes up, well, I don't know what, anything that would come up between now and the next meeting.
Yeah,
so
you don't
that we've
have
got
to
direct,
do
we
it
have a
now.
sense of direction.
But
th-
yeah,
it's a
So-
standing document as it is, correct?
yes.
So,
Yeah.
never mind.
So until we do something with it, you would just use last year's anyway, which
We're gonna
all we
carry
would do
forward
is
with
carry
that
forward
principles.
last
Yeah.
year's.
Yeah.
And so we're good.
And we could approve these in November and they would be the
Timely.
ones that.
Yeah.
And that way
Yeah,
they're the
that would be
26
fine.
guidelines and not 26 revised or something, because
Right.
we approved them this meeting and
Yeah.
the next meeting we have to revise them or something. So.
Yeah.
okay. Wes, I have a question for you. The big hot button right now is the Reg 87 drafting, the rulemaking that's going on. I'm not sure how much Longmont's been involved. It's the dredge and fill rules that were required by the legislature after the Supreme Court restricted the Clean Water Act regulations nationally. And the state of Colorado said, well, we kind of like the way they used to be, so we're going to try to create our own system to cover the difference between what used to be covered and what's now covered under federal law. So in the legislative, well, in CDPHE, they're working on those right now. There's a hearing. They've done pre-hearing statements by vested parties. Has Longmont taken a position or a role that
I
you're
don't-
aware of?
Yeah, I'm not aware of us
Yeah.
taking a position. I think, I know we're actively monitoring a lot of things.
Yeah, no, sure.
But
I
as
just
far
was
as
curious.
taking a position, I'm not aware that council's taken any position.
Yeah.
They're usually pretty thoughtful before they take a supporting or opposition position, and so I'm pretty certain that we haven't.
There's a fair number of ditch companies that I'm aware have been animated by the drafting exercise, and because Longmont has a dominant position on so many ditches, I didn't know if that had arisen in some fashion. But
Yeah.
it's clearly covered by ditch companies. I'm not saying we should have, I just was curious if we had.
Yeah. The only thing I'm aware of, I think some of the water department staff will be taking to
I think it's scheduled for the 28th.
The 28th. Okay, yeah, I was like, that's why I couldn't find it, because it was
For city council.
It was but wanted to just let you be aware that it's going to be going in front of city council. No actions needed on your part. I seen a draft of the council com, and they did a really good job outlining it. So I think if you're interested about in seeing that, it'll be available. I think the end, like Thursday or Friday of this week. You might just pop onto the city council agenda and check that out. But I think they did a pretty good job. If you got any real questions, though, I'll have to punt and go grab John to help answer some of those questions.
Is it possible that you guys could send that out when it's available
Yeah,
to us?
absolutely.
Instead of, again, the reminder,
Yeah.
of the remembering to pop on.
Absolutely, yeah. We could definitely do that. And then
That'd be-
if you had any questions on those council comms, it gives the lead contact. I think John was on it.
Yeah.
So if you have specific questions, you'll be able to call him direct at that point and get any clarity that you may need.
Email.
An email. Yeah,
Okay.
email's good.
Okay. Anything else on guiding principles for 2026 for today? Okay,
Make sure we have it for the next meeting.
great. Thank you. We don't have an 8B, it's just an 8A.
Just an 8A.
So I'm going to go on to 9A,
All
which
right.
doesn't have a B.
Yeah.
God, it's not even for hope, darn it. No category.
I know. It's hard.
Under 9A, we have items from the staff, a water finance update.
Yeah.
Staff will provide water board with informational overview of water funding and rates.
Yeah, so Lance Smith with our business enablement group is here to just kind of go back over with the board, kind of almost a financial update 101. There's going to be some changes in Longmont customer rates effective January 1st, and I think we're just giving everyone who's ever listening on the public or whatever a chance to be aware of those changes and kind of just remind everybody general water finance update. So Lance got a short presentation, and then if you have any questions, we'll see if we can help answer any of them.
Great, thanks.
All right, hello, Lance Smith, Director of Business Enablement here. All right, so in general, we've got water operating funds, gets money through rates and other miscellaneous revenues. We've got a water construction fund, which gets its revenues through system development fees, and then we've got the acquisition fund, which gets its funding through cash in lieu fees. It uses those monies for water supply development projects. The water construction fund uses the system development fees to expand the system, and then the water operating fund kind of covers all operating expenses and any other expense. So these are separate funds, and this is the one I think you're primarily interested in. But looking at the water acquisition fund, on a year-to-date basis. So at the beginning of the year, we had a fund balance of about $5.2 million. Through the course of the year, we've taken in revenue of $685,000, cash and lieu fees. We've also collected some non-operating revenue. That would be interest on the $5 million. We've had operating expenses, mainly water assessments. And so at this point, through August, we had a fund balance of $5.7 million. So we increased about $400,000 over where we started this year. If we were to spend all of the money in operating expenses, and I think there may be, I don't think there are any more assessments to be paid, but if we were to spend the remaining $109,000 there, and then we did have $817,000 appropriated from a CIP perspective. That was for some potential land acquisition at Union Reservoir. That is not going to happen at this point. So I do think we'll probably be adding that $925 to the fund balance. And so we will end the year at about 5.7. So better than we started the year. So that's,
Excuse me?
yes.
What's the $800,000 for the capital improvement program?
Yes, that's it was appropriated with the intention of maybe some land acquisition.
Okay, that
around
was the land
Yes.
acquisition.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
And that's not going to happen in 2025, or not going to happen, not going to happen? Do you know? Have a sense?
What I've heard is that we haven't heard back from the developer, or not the developer, the property owner. We had made an offer to them, and we haven't heard back from them. So we're thinking it may not happen.
Okay. Thanks.
And you mentioned assessments, I think.
Yes.
Can you give some examples of what that money is? I'm sorry, what is that?
So yeah, so the water that flows through the ditches, we're partial owner in the ditches.
Yeah.
The ditches need money. They assess fees to maintain the ditches.
Got it. Okay.
Okay, so how do we set fees? And these, so this is the system development fee. So this is the fee that's really paying not for the water supply, but for treatment, distribution, all of that. That's currently sitting at $6,500 per acre foot. And that we're not looking to change anytime soon, but we will be reviewing that with the next rate study, which will happen in 2027. We have a windy gap surcharge, and that fee kind of varies by your tap size, and there that is. We don't expect that to change. And then how do we set rates? Okay. So in 2024, I went to City Council with a proposed rate increase. And the way a general rate study happens, you start with kind of your revenue requirements. You look at your cost of service allocation. So you allocate those revenue requirements, and revenue requirements are, here's what we expect to spend on the system over the next few years. You then allocate those costs across the rate classes. So if residential is consuming 40% of the water, they might get 40% of the charges. It's not quite that simple, but that's kind of what happens. And that's where we get into kind of that rate design piece. Now we did go to council. I talked to council about either a 3 or a 5-year rate increase. What we did approve was just a 3-year increase. And this is the amount of increase per year for a residential customer. So in 2025, the average residential water bill went up $4.46. In 2026, it would go up $4.82, and in 2027, it would go up $5.12. And in 2027, we will come back to council with an updated cost of service study, talk about what might be needed beyond 2027. I will quickly say that looking at revenues year to date, in 2025, revenues are essentially flat to what they were in 2024. So we have not realized this extra $4.46. So that can just be, I mean, water is fairly volatile as far as utilities go. So if it's a rainy year, demand might be down 5%, 10%. That can affect things. It can also.
Are these?
Yes.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
No, that's okay.
So the yellow boxes,
Yes.
that's the increase from the previous year. So this isn't cumulative, it's increases per year. So for example, would we add all of those together
Yes.
to get to the 2029
Yes.
rate increase relative to today?
Yes. Yes, so in 2029, and this hasn't been approved, but it looks like rates would be close to $70 per month, whereas in 2024 they were about $45. So that would be $25, which is roughly $5 per year.
And just so that we're all on the same page, I guess, the types of increases in your expenditures that justify the rate increases are what types of things?
So the previous rate increase, the rate study had been done in 2020, so kind of pre-COVID related inflation. So we realized inflation over the last few years that is persisting in this. Not that inflation is growing at 7% a year now, but that 7% that we realized never went away, so the higher level of costs we're continuing to see. So a lot of this is kind of catching up with inflation that we've already realized. But going forward, we do expect there to be some reasonable, modest level of inflation. We've got our largest cost, for example, is personnel. We expect personnel to increase slightly over the next few years.
Do you have any large capital projects that are also driving this?
Yeah, well, yes, there are capital projects. So yeah, we're going to talk about capital here in a moment. But,
Sorry.
But no, that's fine. I mean, there was a debt issuance made in 2020,
Okay.
which was anticipated to be for a Nelson Flanders plant expansion. We've moved up the reconstruction of the two water tanks, so Price Park water tank and the Montgomery tank. Each of those are happening. So yes, part of this is due to increased debt service costs.
Are those projects though come out of a different pool of money? So they come out of the system development fees, or do they also come from rate increases, like payment on those
Right, yeah, so
projects?
system development fees is really intended to cover new growth. So if we're adding demand on the system, that portion of the project is paid for out of system development. The vast majority of it is really renewing an existing asset, so serving an existing customer base. That's paid for out of rates.
So what I'm seeing here is roughly a 10% increase for the next
Well, for the next
given years.
These 3 years, these two numbers have not been approved. So
Right.
Yes,
So we're
yes.
seeing a 10% increase in individuals' water billing over the next 3 years.
yes.
Wow.
So how do we spend the money in 2024? This was how we spent the CIP related stuff. That was $8 million. Part of that going to transmission rehab. So that's mainly larger diameter water pipes being replaced. We had some potable water interconnections. Here's kind of a longer term trend. We did have the Chimney Hollow, not quite pointing there, but Chimney Hollow. As I said, we did issue debt And we've used that for the Montgomery tank, the Price Park tank. And then going forward, we're now thinking the Nelson Flanders plant expansion would happen in 2029, so that's why it's not showing up here. But we do anticipate potentially needing to issue new debt if we're going to be able to realize that plant expansion.
So so we issued debt in 2020 for Nelson Flanders, but we haven't done it, so we're gonna reissue new debt?
So we issued, so we got the ballot language said that we would use it either for plant expansion or other related projects, capital projects. And so what we realized was initially when we issued the debt, before we had issued the debt, we thought that Nelson Flanders expansion was going to be maybe a $50 million project. With that inflation that I've talked about over the last few years, we realized that it's going to be closer to $80 to $100 million. So we didn't have enough cash to do that project. So what we did was we shuffled and brought forth the tank replacement projects and said, okay, before we can do Nelson Flanders, we're going to have to issue more debt, so we're going to need to talk to the voters beforehand.
Roger, as part of the 2024 expenditures, the raw water transmission rehab and improvements, did that have a component which was we were required to replace lead pipe? Was that an unexpected or maybe a not quite as foreseeable cost that we incurred, or did we not have a lot of costs regarding federally mandated pipe improvement? Right.
Yeah, I've not heard of any significant investment being made on lead gooseneck replacements in particular.
We didn't really have any lead pipes that they found when they
We
did
weren't
the
Denver.
audit.
Okay.
Right, but there are a lot of aging infrastructure
Yeah,
pipes that
clearly.
they're replacing.
I was just wondering if that was something that was a surprisingly larger number because we had to do things because of federal requirements. That's why I wasn't sure how that played out. Okay.
One more question on that kind of similar subject. So it went to the voters, right, in 2020-ish, whatever it was. And yeah, I understand that there was language in there to say, it could be used for other things, but I think ostensibly, the average voter would probably say that it was for a Ned Flanders expansion, maybe, And so is there any way to kind of because at some point we're going to have to ask them again, right? Mm-hmm. And so I mean, who knows whether the same people live here now that lived there then, I guess. But like a savvy voter will say, well, I thought I already approved this at some point, right? So how do we communicate when there's a change, right? When there's a change in the way in which we use the money, how do we communicate that to our customers who are ultimately also our voters, who are gonna be faced with maybe approving more money to be used in the future,
Kind of sounds like RTD.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so I think, when we get to that point of potentially putting another ballot initiative around raising some debt financing, we need to be transparent that here is what happened last time, and this is why we're confident that the money we're asking for at this point is going to allow us to do the project now, and explain that the projects that we did with the money had been on the CIP before. It was really more a matter of shuffling them around, but I think transparency is really important. We are currently, I don't think we've quite kicked it off, but we're going to kick it off shortly. The water master planning effort, so we will develop a 20-year master plan that will include all of the large capital projects that we anticipate needing over the next 2 decades. And we'll get estimated costs in $20-25 for those projects. That will allow us to develop a a long-term strategic financial plan that says, here's how we're going to be able to finance all of these projects. Much of it's going to be cash financing through revenues through rates and system development fees, but some of it will also involve debt financing, and so we'll have a better understanding of what we anticipate our debt needs to be over the next 20 years, and I think that will, to your point, give voters, owners, ratepayers, they're one and the same, some confidence that we know what we're doing and that we're going to do what we said we were going to do. So.
I would be very interested in seeing that 20-year master plan.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I think that takes a while. So we're talking about a 12 to 18-month process.
Not today.
Yes. Yeah.
But like
Tomorrow.
this time next year.
Absolutely.
You said 12. You said 12.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
time next year, it would actually be really great for us to see it. And I do believe that the water board has an element where we can see it before council. So it's one more piece of public input. We can look at it. We can advise. Hopefully support. I would like that. So that would be good.
The water master plan that they're working on now, it's in the water board charge is to look at the raw water master plan, and now that we're in a position where we don't have like these separate raw water master plan and treated water master plan and wastewater, so the plan is now kind of envelops all of those. So your point is well taken that you should be included in, especially the review of and the process thereof.
The review of, yeah.
Yeah, and so we're probably in month 1 of that. We're still having conversations just about what are the things that the consultant's even going to be looking at right now. So Lance's comment, it wasn't just flippant when we say it's probably a year
no, I
out.
understand that.
But
Yeah.
Just to want to give some context of where we're at with that process. We're just starting now.
And I'm sorry if I was flippant with the next meeting, but this time next year, it does sound like there could be some progress, even
Yeah.
if it's not finished.
Yeah.
The check-in of what we've looked at.
Yep.
Because I think, reading between the lines, I'm hearing we're at 10% increases, and they're not going to slow down if there's debt issuance. Council gets to decide, but the line's going to keep going up pretty steep. And so I think more communication with the public would be helpful.
Good.
And warranted.
Yeah, if I can clarify, Mr. Smith, my understanding was, well, first of all, I agree with Ms. McIntyre here that per John Gage, I think there were not enough lead pipes to warrant any replacement, and
Yeah.
they were on schedule in our regular pipe replacement that we do. But my understanding was also that there's $30 million from what was approved in 2021 that hasn't been issued yet in bonds. Is that
Yes.
true?
Yes.
And we're really waiting for the bond market to approve
For sure.
Right.
before that gets issued. So we
Yeah.
may be in a more cash positive
Yes.
situation with that $30 million. But how much more are you thinking needs to happen to complete these 3 projects?
Well, I think the main project we've got that's not funded at this point is the Nelson Flanders expansion, and so.
And $30 million isn't going to cover that one. Do you know what?
No, we think that's probably going to be, I want to say 80 to 100 million is what we think. So, yeah. Okay, and then the budget process. So the budget process starts with forecasting revenues, so you know how much money is available. We then forecast operating expenses. That gives us an idea of how much money we've got that can be spent on capital expenditures. Depending on what needs to happen with capital expenditures, we may need to then adjust operating expense. But this is all to get to what is ultimately called the city manager's recommended budget, which goes to council. And then council looks at that makes revisions and ultimately arrives at the approved budget. So if we look at 2026, kind of real quick, what's in there? We've got 64 current FTEs. We're looking to divide one FTE between water, wastewater, sanitation. There are three funds that I talked about: the water operating fund, the construction fund, and the water acquisition fund. This rate study underway for implementation, that has already happened. So the next rate study will be in 2027 for potential implementation in 2028. As there was this year, there was money appropriated. There is being money requested for land acquisition in case there is an opportunity to acquire some land. There is a vehicle replacement shortfall, so we're trying to catch up on some vehicle replacements. We've got a pond cleaning effort. We've got the annual assessment for the Windy Gap Firming project. They're looking at a design for the toll pit project, and then increased cost of chemicals. And so if we looked at the total budget here, most of it's going towards operating, then CIP, and then we've got about 11% going to debt service.
Can you speak to the toll pit design for $250,000?
I think that money was put in there probably what that was going to be for prior to some of the recent decisions.
Yeah.
And so I know, I don't think it was part of this, but I know one of the things that has to happen down in that area, we need to redefine the wetland. We got wetland delineation. That changed when we had the flood in 2013.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're required to offset those depletions from the wetland. So there'll be a small cost for that, but I think this is something that'll probably evolve over time. So I can't speak specifically right now.
Wes, on that same bullet point list on the annual assessment for Windy Gap,
Yeah.
I have no idea what the annual assessment has been all along. We just haven't had that reported regularly, and I'm curious. I suspect that we have no idea yet exactly what the solution for the existing uranium processing challenge is, and that this probably doesn't reflect a cost that would go towards that. That would probably be an additional assessment if and when they decide in 2026 how that has to be remedied and what that cost would then be, right? Is that fair?
That's fair.
Okay.
Yeah.
Without getting too much into the weeds and
Right.
litigation and
Yeah.
all that, just was
No, that's fair.
okay.
All right, and that's all I have. So thank you.
Thank you,
very
Roger.
much.
Yeah.
I know the questions are not fun and easy, but the information is good to have.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I believe in transparency.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you, Lance.
Here to help with that.
Okay, moving along, agenda item 10, items from the board. The first one is the review of water board applicant interview questions. We've all recently got to do water interviews for board applicants. So we probably all have strong feelings about those questions, right? Does anybody have any desire to provide any feedback on those questions? I'll tell you, my feedback is number 4 takes way too long to ask and is very confusing.
Change it.
By naming all the plans.
Yeah,
Whoever gets stuck with that one, we're always like, oh.
we have this.
Really?
So the way we've done this is there's generally 4 of us on the interview team, so we split the 8 questions. Each of us gets 2, and whoever draws that one then also gets to draw something like reasonable accommodations, which is a I mean, there's nothing to expound upon. Is there a reasonable No? Okay, fine.
That's fair then.
What's that?
So it's fair then.
Yeah,
So
but
it's a whopper and
it's
a
just a
short
cumbersome
one.
question.
Better questions.
I don't think the questions are bad. I just that one's daunting and a
It
little
is.
bit cumbersome to ask, and then to expect somebody to absorb that question and provide reasonable information about it. I think it's a lot to ask.
So do we have a direct edit for it?
You can ask 3 separate questions. You can ask one of each, because it's an either or. Well, it's actually 4, right? 4 components. In any regard, it's a very compound question which asks a lot of substantive stuff about 4 very different things that we all, you know.
Maybe,
One
I mean-
simple question, are you familiar with the city's planning efforts around water resources?
Yeah.
And let them expound on that.
Yeah, I think even just the start though, the familiar, right? That elicits a yes or no, and then it doesn't really go anywhere, right? It's more like, what aspect? Maybe it's like more kind of like the similar question above or something. What aspects of the city's planning role or something are you most familiar with or most interested in or something? But
And again,
You want to say something?
Well,
then I
no,
know you
I'm
do.
just saying, what other plans are there out there? Is there a water conservation plan?
Yeah, it's
It's
up
not
there.
listed there?
It is.
Efficiency plan.
The water efficiency, we don't use the word
Okay.
master anymore.
Right,
so we
right.
take
see, we don't even
that. Or
know.
PC.
We don't even know anything.
There's some labels that I think are a little dated, honestly, but
Hope, do you know if all of those plans are included on Longmont indicators?
Nope, just the water efficiency plan.
Okay. This is the opportunity with the outdated ones to update the language and clean the questions up if you would like. So,
I mean,
I'll remark that you usually come up with really good candidates.
Yeah.
we've been blessed with a lot of people with knowledge and interest, for sure. Those have been hard interviews to
Yeah.
winnow down for council, frankly.
Yeah.
This year particularly, yeah. So,
But we appreciate the work you do because we get these great candidates. And I don't think we can pick a wrong one here. So.
I don't think the interview questions are bad. I think they elicit the purpose that we need. We don't have a lot of time to go through them. They give us good information. They give everyone the same question to think about, so we have a context and some relationship between candidates that way. But it is awkward to say some of that stuff. So we all laugh about it when we do it, so I thought I'd share with y'all that that's what we do.
I mean, if I were gonna change number 4, it would be, are you familiar with any of the Longmont water resources and planning efforts? And if so, to what extent?
there you go.
I like that.
Is that a motion?
I don't know that it has to be a motion. I think we're looking for feedback. This isn't
Yeah.
an action item per se.
Okay.
These could come back numerous times too because we won't have any fall interviews, so we'll have
Right,
until
it'll be July, I think,
July.
is
Yeah.
for the next one.
Unless we have somebody that goes off the board for a particular reason.
And I know that, for the sake of time, you mentioned it, you only have so many minutes to interview
Yeah.
each one. You really
Right.
don't have a lot of time to dig into any one of these. You've got a lot of questions here, so.
Am I right in remembering that we had like literally 10, 15 minutes max?
it depends on the number of
Depends on
candidates
the number of
that you
candidates
have.
and you're squeezing
And
them
that
in.
is also kind of set by you all in when you determine to have the
Right.
meeting for those interviews. So I think in the last couple of times we've done them either like right on the front of
Mhm.
water board, which if you were to reverse that and do it after water board, you would have whatever time you guys chose to
Jump in
extend
there.
it based on that. But it really depends on how many candidates we have that are applying for those positions, what time is allotted for each of those interviews. So
Sure. So I don't have anything specific above and beyond that. I do think that's probably a good way to recraft that question.
Yeah.
It gives someone a chance to be more able to answer
To-
what they want, not what we're trying to. We're not even necessarily trying to get them to answer anything. It's just a
Right.
lot to throw at somebody.
Yeah, gives them a chance to embellish. That's good. I think we can definitely reword that one to the way you've set it down. I think that's
And to be honest, I would suggest that the last 3 questions they can be in the written materials and allow people to identify. I think the conflicts issue is in the written materials. The last one, that's something that you have to respond to when you fill out the information.
Mm-hmm.
Reasonable accommodations could be similar because it's a yes or a no.
Mm-hmm.
And the other boards that you've served on or applying for is probably part of that too. You don't need that to be part of the questions necessarily to elicit a response, because the more substantive issues that tell you more about the candidate are the ones that are above that.
Makes sense.
I don't know
That
if
could
that's...
be, that could be good edits, to take those bottom three and just do them as just written.
Yeah,
That gives
'cause-
us more time to talk to folks.
I think so, because they're submitting the written stuff in order to get to the point where they're having an interview. So we see that information.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Isn't that part of the application process, those 3 questions?
Yes.
Yeah.
I do think that, like,
One of them is for sure. I'm not sure if the other two, but maybe they all are. I'm not even positive. It's been a bit.
I think the reasonable accommodations, I'm not sure that one
I don't
is.
think it is.
And that one was good for us to know, like if we need an interpreter or something like that for them. That's one of the questions that HR always has us ask for
Yeah.
positions with the city as well. So you may want to keep that one in.
But
I'm just wondering if they could go into the written materials so that they could.
So the written material, the application is across the board for all boards, and it's done through the city
Okay.
clerk's office.
Gotcha.
So the only thing that we're editing is these questions here, not the application itself.
Okay.
So
but maybe we could investigate whether those 3 questions are in the application, if they
I
are.
don't know that the reasonable accommodations.
Yeah, I think that
is.
one's the one that's not. The other two, I think, are at least.
Because what I was going to say is even if
But
all
the
3
other
of
2
them-
I know for sure.
let's say that all 3 of them are, I do think that you should if somebody answers, let's see, yes to, let's say, one of the last 2, right, that they probably should have a chance to explain or something.
I don't even know why that second and last one's even up there, to be honest with you. Would you eliminate somebody because they needed an accommodation?
No, we would
No,
make
you
a
would,
provision
but-
for it.
But if they answered the top 5 or 6, and they were worthy, you'd bring them on anyhow, and you would make those accommodations. You basically have to.
Mhm.
So I don't even know.
Well-
I mean, in my mind,
But in that second to last one, we need to know that for the interview process, if they need accommodations. Right? I mean, that's,
again,
if they need if like your example, they
That's
need an
probably
interpreter,
right.
they
But
need
would
some
that
kind of
be-
mobility
yeah.
assistance, they need some kind of,
translation, whatever,
translation or
access,
whatever,
that is.
then we should know that before they even get here, shouldn't we?
What I would think might be, again, something that's in the application itself.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's
I don't know
just
the
a
answer
check
to that
box one
one.
way or the other. And if
I know the
you get to
other
that
2 are. I
point,
don't know about that one.
My thought is if the other 2 are in the application, and I think they are, then I don't know why we would ask them again, because I don't think those are answers that are informing us additionally relative to the other ones. I'd rather have more time on the other piece, to be honest. So.
I think the conflict of interest one might give more opportunity to understand what their conflict of interest is beyond what they just checked off in the
Yeah.
process, for context of what you all discuss as a board or whatever. But
Yeah.
it's completely up to you.
Yeah, what I was saying earlier, what I was meant to say, and I don't think I said it very well, if they answered yes or something to one of those questions, then maybe we leave a little bit of room to ask
Sure.
a follow-up or ask them for, explanation sounds weird because it's accusatory or something, but like a description or something of like the way, for them to expound upon whatever the issue is. But we don't, if it's obvious from their application that these are all no's, then we don't need to ask them again in the interview. And we can use that time elsewhere,
Yeah.
So we have changing the 4th question to, are you familiar with any of the City of Longmont water resources planning efforts? And if so, to what extent? And then to remove the last 3 questions.
Yes.
Anything else?
No Harper?
Anything else you see?
Now, this is one of those great things where Roger's coming back next month and go, "What did you guys do? And why I wasn't part of that?"
Where's my favorite question?
Yeah, right. So.
All right. We'll get those changed, and then next spring you can use those questions.
Perfect. Okay, moving along, we have item 10B, review of major project listing and items tentatively scheduled for future board meetings.
Yeah, you'll notice there's really nothing that we have as of right now coming up in the near future, but things are dynamic. If anything does, we'll certainly be adding it to your agenda.
Okay, that's fair. Anybody else with that? Questions? Input? All right.
There's cash in lieu discussions don't go on this particular thing.
No, we didn't see that as being a project status item. That's already defined in the raw water requirement policy for you to review at least quarterly.
I think under item 11, info item attachments, we have information from Heather about Northern Waters Fall Symposium. I suspect that's already full, but I haven't looked because they fill up pretty quick usually. That's set for a week from
29th.
Wednesday.
Mhm.
And if you have given her your interest in going,
I think I've only heard from Roger and from Renee, so,
Okay, I maybe added if it's still open.
okay. I
I
know
was
it's a wait list, right
You're
now.
wait list.
Yeah,
Oh, got it.
Renee
Okay.
got on this
I
morning as a wait list, so.
I'm attending.
You are attending? Okay, so we'll notice it then.
Okay.
are you attending with a different hat? Kind of.
Yes.
But he's still there. So
Yeah.
But I'm still there.
worth a
Okay.
notification,
We'll
right?
notice.
I didn't know it was restricted.
It's not restricted.
No, it's just numbers. Like
Oh,
that there's
yeah.
a wait list, you know.
Yeah, I think there's a fair amount of interest in Northern Waters annual symposium this year for a whole wide variety of topics.
Yeah.
Or you can read about the newspaper the next day.
Yeah.
In any regard. Great. Item 12, items tentatively scheduled for future board meetings. We've got cash only review scheduled for December next.
Right.
And future water board agendas that we want any additional stuff to be included. This would be a good time to share. If not, we'll let Water Resources drive that bus and we'll just be surprised each month.
With a little bit of forewarning.
Mhm.
We're just hoping for a hope update or some sort of a, I don't know, some sort of a development proposal that comes before us more than one a year. It's crazy, honestly.
Yes.
Anything else that we need to tackle? Heather, am I missing something?
The November meeting, we'll be talking about the guiding principle edition.
Yes.
We will have
Yeah,
that.
the inclusion of.
I'll follow up with an email to you.
That'd be great. If you
to
could remind me
draft
what we
it.
even talked about, I'll be happy to address it. That's kind of the way I roll these days. I'm not very thoughtful.
And our
about
next
things.
meeting will be Monday, November the 17th. So,
Okay.
Okay.
And I did see, I think on the list, I noticed today, the January meeting is 1 week later because of.
January and February are always moved 1 week later.
They're always.
Yes, because of the Martin Luther King Jr. and President's
Yeah.
holidays.
I just didn't know if they always lined up that way. With
Um,
our school schedule.
typically, yes,
it's
they
a little
do.
more chaotic. So. Okay, got it.
More often than not, yes, they do.
That's a fair number of meetings we actually moved now, so you can't really say it's everything.
I know, it's
Yeah.
becoming
Yeah,
more
it's the third one,
frequently.
except for this month, and this month, and
So
sometimes this
I
month.
used to teach on Mondays and Wednesdays, and I said no more because there were too many holidays.
adjustments.
Yeah.
And
The-
so
our
now I teach
bylaws
on
actually
Tuesdays and
say
Thursdays
that
instead.
that the January and February meetings will be the fourth Monday of the month.
Oh,
So
then
we were
okay.
explicit.
Okay, interesting.
And those are last revised prior to Juneteenth becoming a major
Yes, but
contributing factor to
Juneteenth
moving.
moves like
Yeah.
some of the other ones, so
Yeah.
it doesn't always affect it.
You just want to say, it'll be when it's going to be.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Whenever Heather tells us to be here, we're
That's
gonna
what I'm gonna say too.
It's not what I think
Stay
about
tuned.
revised. Let's see.
Putting it out there, it's like-
All right, I think we're devolving. So if there's no other information or news that needs to be occurring, motion to adjourn.
I move.
Second, I think we're all in favor. I, and I.
Good.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.